An open-world adventure packed with puzzles and unique mechanics which tie it all together. Welcome to the origami world of Epistory typing Chronicles. This is an open-world adventure which is controlled primarily by typing the words on screen to activate the various stages, and the game element primarily revolves around exploration as the story is unveiled around you. It's a journey of discovery through the mindset of a writer struggling to produce a book. The story is told through a combination of narration which is displayed throughout the environment, and also collecting portions of artwork piece by piece which add extra detail to the overarching story. It all starts out with a fairly standard tutorial section which shows you the basics, and the recommended controls seem relatively odd until you get used to why they've been chosen. The idea being that your hands are evenly distributed, allowing for faster typing, a point which you'll quickly discover is key. So while initially it seems wrong, and you'll probably get confused in the same way I did, it's definitely worth sticking it out to make it easier in the long run. It's not long before the world begins to open up and give you a bit more freedom, letting you roam around the various obstacles, which can be triggered by pressing space and typing the word presented above them. This will activate them in some way, shape or form, and it's usually easy to recognise what can be done as they shine or have a visual indicator, which you can easily associate once you've done it a couple of times. But really the fun doesn't start until you start getting some creatures which are heading for you, and you have to type as fast as you possibly can to try and take them down before they reach you. One touch and it's back to the nearest checkpoint. I've never really seen a game do something like this, and it can create some pretty tense moments as you're typing as fast as you possibly can trying to repel them, but it's very easy to start making mistakes once the number of creatures has increased to such a point that you're trying to distribute your attacks evenly. This is gradually made more difficult by using longer words or through needing one of the 4 different spell types which each have special abilities. However, these aren't applicable to all creatures, so you also need to switch spells mid-battle to try and accommodate for each one. The special abilities are relatively predictable but distinct enough that each has its specific uses. Fire begins to burn the next word, ice freezes the enemy in place, spark ricochets through the ranks taking a word off them as it goes, and wind can be used to blow them away. I found that a combination of spark and ice was almost perfect as it can hold them in place while you quickly rattle several creatures off in one fell swoop. The other spells do have certain specific uses, but these two can cover almost any encounter you come across. You slowly unlock the world through portals which can be opened once you've earned a certain score level. There are loads of these dotted around the map, and assuming you score enough from your travels, you can pretty much go in any direction you want. The world itself is very pretty and the presentation is fantastic. It's all folded together as you unlock the various areas, which is well animated and always interesting to watch and discover what is about to appear before you. It's jam-packed with colour and themed areas, mostly to do with the spells that you can unlock nearby, but they're all unique and several of them introduce themed creatures which roam around their own specific area. But you'll still see the full creature mix when you enter the various pest nests. The creatures range from tiny little bugs which only require one letter to knock them down, to serpents which come along with some frankly bizarre words that I've never even seen before, but each one is quite distinct both in graphical style and in terms of the way they interact with the world. In terms of sound, there is a soundtrack, but it only seems to play after certain triggers, and if you don't get to the next trigger point, it'll just stop. But ultimately the music is well put together and suited to the environment that you're in. While the music isn't playing, you are left to a backing track of environmental sounds such as birds chirping, gears whirring, but there's also a level with a constant sound of running water, which can get to you eventually. I have to say that I didn't do a great deal of research on this one prior to playing it, and I think this helped as it wasn't quite what I was expecting. And I mean this in a good way. I've never played a game with mechanics like this before, and it was very absorbing to just keep hammering out the words. While you might think this comes across as an educational game, I doubt anyone would really pick anything up from it as you tend to be typing so quickly that you're not really paying attention to the words anymore. Instead it's just a row of symbols to beat down. I suspect if you did keep playing this for a long period of time though, it would eventually increase the speed that you type at. It took me 6 hours to make my way through the entire story, and this includes going into every dungeon and collecting all of the artwork pieces. There is also an arena mode which will add some extra replayability in there too. I highly recommend this game as it's far more entertaining to play than you'd think. This may just be down to it being slightly different, but it's nice to try something a bit outside of the box. If you're not convinced, there is also a demo to try out as well. Hopefully that will persuade you one way or the other if nothing else. It's a strange combination of relaxing casual fun and fast furious typing, which when combined are oddly satisfying. On a side note about Origami Worlds, Kubo and the Two Strings recently came out and it's definitely worth a watch.